All right, let's try this. You guys can hear me okay? Can I get a thumbs up if the audio is good? You guys hear, can you guys hear me okay? Testing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. We all good? Just want to make sure that the audio is coming through. All right. Johan or Bobby, am I good on your end? Can you guys hear me on your end? All right. Well, I'm just going to get going here. I think everything looks good. I've got it live. I've got all the buttons pressed I think need to be pressed. So we're going to start off with getting feedback from anybody who's here. And we've got a couple people on already. All right. Thank you, Johan. And it's going to be through the comment section when it comes down to this. I'm going to go through the slides. I have a bunch of slides on my dive watches. And once we get through those slides, then we'll move into the, all right, what's your top 5? What's your top 3? What's your top 1? I think it is 10, if I remember right. Yeah, it looks like 10. So I'm going to go through the slides on here. And the first one up is the Borealis Sea Storm. And well, I really like this. I like all of these. I'm going to start off just by some context. All right, cool. I'm going to start off with some context. The watches that I go out and buy, I spend a significant amount of time, with the exception of maybe the cheapest Casios. I'll be honest. Some of the cheapest Casios I do out of curiosity or recommendation. To me, the risk is low as far as buying one that I'm not super familiar with. But with these dive watches, with any other watch, basically, I spend quite a bit of time looking at different models, different designs, colors, handsets, all that stuff. And movement, I'm huge in movement. Movement is like the first veto when it comes down to dive watches. So those are the things I go through. So when I show these dive watches, yeah, all of these, I like all these dive watches a lot. So I'm not going to say there's any of them here that don't have any or have worn their luster off a little bit. So we'll start off with the Borealis. And one of the things I like about the Borealis, first of all, it's a 300-meter dive watch. It's a little thicker, a little bigger, beefier watch on the wrist. At the same time, it's my only GMT automatic. And if I say semi-automatic, that's just the firearm instructor of me coming out. So just be forgiving in that. But this is the only automatic that has a GMT in it. And I ordered this a while back before it was even released, I think, on their website. So when it came out on their website, I got one of the, I don't know if it was pre-order, but I ordered it before it was available. And so then when they were made available, I got one of these, and I really, really like this one. I like the GMT idea. My son was overseas for a while, and so that was helpful for me just to kind of glance at the watch and know what time it was where he was at. He was over in Macedonia. So just the time change, it's a significant time change. Most of the folks that are in the United States, like plus or minus an hour or two is not a big deal. But when you start doing 3-4 hours or crossing the international date line, that's where things get a little bit more important. So I like that watch for that reason. Let's go on to the next one. The Hexmariner39, there's a 39 millimeter. So this is a smaller diameter case and great movement. I love the lume on this one. This has really good lume. And I think the thing about this watch that I like a lot is just the hex theme throughout everything. Look at the bracelet. You look at the indices. You look at the handset. It's kind of hard because it's a little bit blurry, but the second hand also has that lollipop hex shape on it as well. Green and gold, those colors, just dark green and gold, really go well together. It's kind of I think they call it the Army Gilt version. They're sold out of it for now. I don't know if they're going to restock these or not, or if this is just a one-time run, but I like this one quite a bit, especially because it's a smaller diameter case. I think that's another piece to this That is, I kind of like that 39 millimeter. I don't know if anybody else out there likes those, Bobby or Johan. Like if you guys like the 39s, I'm beginning to like the 39s. I thought I wouldn't go below 40, but I think the 39s are of interest. Here we go. This is the Zelos Hammerhead bronze. And, you know, again, lume for me is, it's like, I'm addicted to lume. So this one is a full lume dial. It has a great movement. I love the case. And I bought this knowing that the case was actually going to get darker and so that the dial would stand out even more. So I'm really patient with this watch as far as the case patinaing at a, you know, fairly good clip. So this is one I think that serves a really good purpose when it comes down to a dive watch. I believe this one's also 300 meters of water resistance. So that means it's a little bit, you know, a little bit taller on the wrist. It has a pretty big presence on the wrist, so no doubt about that. But the full lume dial on this is outstanding. It is a night light. You can walk through a dark hallway with all kinds of dog toys and whatever else on the ground, and you could navigate with that light on your wrist. So I like that one quite a bit. Next, the Wise Adamascus. Yeah, this is a really, really good dive watch. It's dressy, has a 904L steel, so it's a high polished steel. Everything about this watch is just classy. Really like this watch. It's not a cheap watch. It's a more expensive watch of all the watches I have here. Relatively speaking, to me, it's more expensive. But I just love the design on this one a lot. And the movement is a high beat movement. So I have a soft spot for high beat movement. The lume is awesome. Seiko 5, you got to have a Seiko 5. You know, I got into this after the SKX was out of circulation and was rocketing up in price. So you know, Seiko 5 fits the bill. This one's interesting because the case on this one is plated, and it's plated in kind of a bronze brown. It's not really bronze. It's kind of a brown color. If you go and look at the review, I stacked this on top of that Wise Adamascus, and you can really see the difference. It's one of those things that when you see it in person, it really stands out. And I like this one quite a bit because of the theme. Everything on here has just a slightly different brown to it. And then there's this green secondhand in there, which I think is perfect. I love kind of the quirkiness of that little piece right there of the secondhand being kind of a green, almost a lime green. So NATO strap, not a huge fan. You know, I started out wearing NATO straps, and now I think I've kind of figured out what I don't like about them, and that is it just raises the profile of the watch on my wrist higher than I'd like, especially with a taller dive watch. Like the NATO strap on a dive watch, I think you got to have a more slim case to pull that off. So that's another one. I like it. I like the color scheme. I think this is one of the most cohesive designs from strap to dial and handset and everything. Good lume as well. All right, we all know this one, I think, the Signum Cuda. And boy, the Signum Cuda, as far as lume, like this is, if you're addicted to lume, this is the best one that's out there currently. Now, I didn't get the white lume dial because I wanted something with a little more color, and the handset stands out better in the daylight with the orange dial than it does the white dial. So to me, and I always go back to legibility. Once I'm satisfied with the movement, I go back to legibility and design. And the legibility, this is way better than the orange dial. So, and it glows bright orange. I was just wearing this the other night, went to bed, and it was like I had to put my hand under the pillow just to kind of subdue the light. So I love it. It's titanium case and bracelet. It's almost impossible to scratch. I wear this working all the time. You'd be surprised how much I wear this working, and there's no scratches on here at all. It's titanium. It may be dirty, but it's not scratched. The best deal out there, SteelDive. You know, this is the SD 1974. I had somebody comment to me about this. Isn't it the 1970? I think it is, but they listed on AliExpress as the SD 1974. So I don't know if they're referring to the year or if that's just a coincidence that it's a model number 1974. So at any rate, great. I was never a fan of the cushion dial or the cushion case, and I am now. I see why people like it. It is a very comfortable case to wear because those lugs are so, where the spring bars are, they're so close to the dial that it fits like a much smaller watch. I love the color on this one. I love the handset. The lume on this is great. It has 2 different color looms on it. The lume lasts all night. It's a reliable NH35 movement. Has the date window on there, which I think fits right in. You don't really notice it that much in the daylight. Just a great overall watch. The bezel action is awesome. So there we go on that. The Phoibos Proteus. You're going to find out I love this angular case. This one reminds me of the Seiko Samurai when it comes down to the case. So the lume, awesome lume. The pad, there's a ring that goes around the minute ring, the chapter ring there. That's loomed up. The numbers on the bezel are loomed up. The handset, the hour indices, loomed. I mean, it's great. The only thing I don't like about it is the date window. It's circular, which is really kind of odd because you have to be looking straight down at the watch to really get a clear view of what the number is on the date, especially when it's a 2-digit number. So yeah, that's the only ding on this one. But again, the design, I love the case design. I love the angular shape, and also the crown. I love the crown on this one is awesome. It has this spiral knurling on it that's really easy to grab. It's big enough to grab and manipulate when you need to change the date or the time. So Phoibos Proteus. All right, I put the Casio in here. I was hesitant to put a Casio in with all these other dive watches, but this is a dive watch. So this is one of the 10. And it is one of the best dollar for dollar dive watches that's out there. Extremely legible. Has good lume. It lasts almost all night. Day, date. I mean, it's so simple. I think it's great. And I love the little, and you can't see it on here because I have a red light on here. This is a thumbnail picture for, I think, the review I did on it. But that triangle is red on the 60-minute mark on the bezel. So fantastic. And it's a friction bezel, so it goes either direction. All right. This is the tallest watch I have, which is the Citizen Aqualand, the ProMaster Aqualand. And I kind of like it. You know, every now and then I'll get a watch that is just different because I need to have something different. And this fits the bill. Like, this is so much a dive watch, and I've never scuba dived in my life. I've snorkeled, you know, I guess I don't know if that's called skin diving or not, but I've snorkeled, and I'll probably get, you know, a set of mask and fins here. I did it when I was living in Minnesota with all the lakes we have and stuff like that. I did a lot of snorkeling there, but I'll get back into it here. In Montana, we don't have a lot. There's a lot of mountain lakes, but you're hiking miles up these canyons to get to these mountain lakes that are, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 feet, probably more like 7,000 feet actually. Anyway, you're burned out by the time you get there. So snorkeling is probably not the thing that's on your mind. Cooling off is, but not snorkeling. So I love this watch. Design, big, beefy fella. You've got great features to this. You have the real-time dive depth. You have your deepest dive marker on there. There's a dive alarm that you can set on there. I haven't bothered learning that yet because I haven't really taken it out for that reason. But it's just a tough watch, and it's eco drive. So eco drive to me is a huge plus. I love the I guess that's it. I love the maintenance free aspect of that. So those are the 10. So here's what I'm looking for is a little feedback on the top 5. Okay, because I think you gotta have to kind of work this, because as you get towards the number 1, you're splitting hairs more. You're more or less splitting hairs, or the differences get smaller between the 1, 2, and 3. So let's start with the top 5. Anybody want to punch in a top 5? I have them all right here in front of me too. So if there's any, I'm going to take a look. And I actually haven't done this yet. I just grabbed all the dive watches. I knew that this is something I need to do. I'm going to, you know, as far as how many of these am I going to get rid of, I would say at least 1, maybe up to about 3, which would be really tough on my psyche because I spent so much time thinking about this. So I would say for sure 1. I kind of have 1 in mind, but at the same time, every time I pull these out, you know, it just, you know, reminds me of why I got it or got these. So anybody have the top 5? And I can go back through here, and I'll just keep rotating through the slides so that you can see these. But I think, oh boy, top 5 for me, it's going to have to be a Wise Adamascus, which is this one right here on the screen. The 2 full lume dials, the Signum and the Zelos, that one is on the screen there. Oh boy. I'm going to go with the Casio I really like the Casio. I try to get a Spectrum, and that to me is like, as far as cost goes, dollar for dollar, I think that's my top 5 or top 4. I need one more. Oh boy, I'm gonna go with the Borealis. So I don't know what anybody else has as far as their top 5. I'll wait just a few seconds here, or however long you want to take, but those are the 5 that I want to protect, which means the 5 that are on the chopping block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I have 11. 3, 6. Yeah, I've got 11 out here, not 10. Did I miss one here? I think I missed one on the screen. I don't have the Samurai out there. The Seiko Samurai is missing. So the Seiko Samurai, I'll put this up here so you can see it. Seiko Samurai. Now I did put a Strapco. I forget what they called this bracelet. Awesome. It is so cool. Love it. Now this is, again, the Seiko Samurai has that angular case, which the Proteus, put these next to each other, you can kind of see how those cases are similar. And I love the angles on it. To me, it's the contrast of circular versus harsh angles, a little bit of artistic flair to it. So that's the number 11 one, is the Seiko Samurai. So I do have 6 that are unprotected, which would be then the Hexmariner, the Seiko 5, the Seiko Samurai, the SteelDive, the Aqualand, and the Proteus. Those are the 6 that I have. All right, Johan. So he's on the Hexmariner wave. All right, so he wants to protect the Hexmariner, the Citizen. He wants to protect the Borealis, the Signum. 1, 2, 3, 4. You got one more? Let's see. So these are the ones you want to protect. So there's 6 other ones. Oh, and the SteelDive. Nice. Okay. So these guys, the Citizen, I'm going to put up. So we're going to have a little. There's the Signum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I agree with you, Johan. Oh, 100% on the Borealis, 100% on the Hexmariner. So really, we agree then on 3, which is the Proteus, the Seiko 5, which is the SRPD085, if you're looking for the code on that one, or the model number, and then the Seiko Samurai. So we agree on those 3. All right, the Wise. Yeah, the Wise, that is soft steel. I don't wear the Wise. You know, this is the one, I say this, I think I've said this in a couple of reviews. I have a hard time wearing high-end watches for the reason that you just pointed out. And that may be a reason why you shouldn't have a watch, is that if you're buying it to put it in a safe, like, why do you really have it? And that's my thing. Same thing with the firearms I have. Like, if I buy a firearm, I want to use it, or I want to have used it. Some of them are old. I have an 1876 rifle that's old, and I just don't use it often because it is so old. But I have used it. So, but yeah, I like the idea here. Yeah. Yeah, the lume on the Signum is incredible. Oh, I want to see the Seiko 5. Brown watches pop quite nicely. Movement is a workhorse. Watches strap master. Water resistance is the lowest and hard like scratch. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you know what's something? I'm not a huge fan of Seiko. I'm less a fan of Seiko. I think as time goes on, I'd probably get even worse. I just think there's other options out there that do more. I like the designs. I love the dials. Yeah. All right, let's see here. What else? Phoibos, great dial. Date window small. Yep, right on. Citizens, funky, great watch, but like to have sapphire. Yes, I agree. The Citizen, this Aqualand, this is a mineral crystal. So as far as above water treatment, you know, it may be more of a scratch magnet. Plus, when you have a watch that's that thick on the wrist, I mean, that is. Let's get the Borealis up here. So here's the Borealis. And there is, let's see if I got that. You can see how tall that Aqualand is compared to the Borealis, which is a 300 meter watch. This is a beefy fellow. So when you stick something that far off your wrist, be ready for it to bang on stuff, no doubt. Yeah, okay. All right. Is Bobby out there? Has he got any? Bobby, you got anything you want to add? Let's see. All right. Yeah, Seiko's QC is terrible. You know, and this bezel on here, on the SRPD, this one, the bezel doesn't line up. It's just a little bit off. I mean, actually, it's not that far off. But the action on it, like everybody talks about how Seiko, I think everybody does. Yeah, this one's just a little bit off, and it's mushy, and it doesn't have the same action as some of these other ones. I think the best action on a bezel is the Hexmariner, and I'll put this by the microphone. It's so nice to turn. It's not too hard. It's not too easy. The Zelos is another good one. This is the bronze. It's a little bit more rigid. It actually has a little bit more of a catch between each click. So it takes a little bit more effort to move it, but I don't mind that too much because I don't want it to move around. And the Borealis, oh my goodness. Yeah. This one is, I really like the Borealis. These are screw-in links, and I had to, yeah, they're there. I had to put a Loctite on two of the screw-in pins because they kept working their way out. So, yeah, thickness. All right, so we agree on those three. So, all right, Johan, it's me and you, man. It's me and you, brother. So these are the three we have left. These are the ones we're going to cut. Out of here, we need to pick at least one. Oh, boy. This is going to get tough. Like, which of these three? All right, so we got the Seiko 5 NATO strap, plated case, super cohesive design. I really, if you look at the dial, man, I don't know if the resolution on your end is as poor as it is on my end, but the resolution of my camera is not very good. I'm working on getting an upgrade as far as like a better, I have to pay a membership to do it, but a better way of getting higher resolution camera work in here on the video streams. Seiko Samurai. All right. And then the third one, these are all in the chopping block. I for sure want to identify one. And I'll tell you what, the one that I had in mind before I started all this is in these three, okay? It's in these three. I'll see if you and me, Johan, let's see if you could pick this one out. All right. Yeah. Yeah, it's far enough. Yep. You like a heavy bezel, it's not going to mess with timing if you bump it. Yeah, I agree. It makes me a little nervous with the Casio. It's a friction bezel, but like I said in the review, there's some decent friction on this friction bezel. So for now, I think it's going to work. But I think all of these, the SteelDive, the SteelDive is good. It's better than the Seiko, but it's kind of in that same area as the Seiko. It's in that same area. It's better. So, and of course the Aqualand, this guy it's absolute much. But also this is a 60 click bezel. So you're only going 1 minute per click. But it is mushy. But it's got enough friction to hold it in place. Also, you know what I just realized? That one. I'm looking at all these bezels here. There are only 2 bezels that do not have any lume on them whatsoever. These 2. No lume on the bezel whatsoever. I can understand the Casio. Come on, Seiko. Put on your big boy shorts. All right, just put a pip on there. Just have somebody with a little pen of lume and just put a little drop on there, and so you can at least orient the bezel on your watch when it's dark out. I don't get that at all. That's the part where Seiko is. We just have a bad relationship. We're not in a dating relationship at all. The Phoibos is golden. All right, so let's see what you got here. No worries, man. The Samurai's got to stay. All right. Yeah, you're right. Nice thing about the Casio is I bump things around with this Casio. Yeah, and lower profile. You know, when you talk about how far off the wrist, even though it has, you know, the acrylic, the plastic crystal. I think I called it mineral in the review. I've had a couple of people call me out, and it's like mineral acrylic. It's just not sapphire. Anyway, because the profile, it's not as prone as some of these other ones. So, Johan, are you saying we're going Seiko 5? That's gets the axe, the number one axe. Yeah, Seiko's a dive style watch trying to be an SKX. Hey, Ding, how you doing? Thank you for joining us. Seiko 5, he's on the Seiko 5 bandwagon. So what we're talking about is this guy right here. I'm gonna start clicking through. Let's go through here. We're talking about this one taking the axe. Now, I gotta say, when you see the case in person, it's unbelievable. It really is. It is so cool looking. If I wish I'd have put the picture on this slideshow. But man, it is something else. I'll tell you what, it's cool. And I think part of this, when it comes down to the Seiko 5, is the NATO strap. I'm just not a fan of the NATO strap on a dive watch. Maybe it's it's a double pass. Okay, so it's got another layer of nylon in there. But dang, I think Seiko is, they're going to either have to up their game or lower their prices, because they're kind of playing in that middle ground where they probably shouldn't. So, all right, so that's number one. So of the three, so we identified kind of the top three to get the axe. What if I was to choose a second one to get rid of? These are the two that are the top three to get the axe. We've already determined Seiko 5 is it. All right. Seiko 5 is our number one cut. To the bench it goes. Of these two, Samurai versus the Proteus, what do you guys think? On it, like, this is following, like, I'm glad that we are all playing. Well, it seems like we're all playing in the same ballpark. Those of you that are on the comment section. Yeah. No, Johan, I do. I've given people watches. I have given away some Casios. All my boys for Christmas last year, they all got a watch. And yeah, my wife is like, you know what, Tim, you can give some of these away, but at some point you're going to have to make some of this money back. Because I haven't received any watches for any compensation for any reviews at all. These are all watches I've purchased. So she's right. At some point in time, I'm going to have to. That's why this live stream is doing what it's doing. All right. So what do you guys think of those last two, Samurai versus the Proteus? Which is the next one to take the axe? If I was to choose a second one, which would you pick? We'll just sit on that one for a few seconds. Throw in your top choice. Let's see if I can pull this up on the slideshow. There's the Proteus. So the Proteus is one of the two. And where do I have the Seiko? Let's see. Oh, the Seiko. This is the one I don't have on the slideshow. For some reason, I was thinking 10, when in reality I had 11 watches. So it's between these two. Yeah, Johan's going Phoibos, the Proteus. All right, so he's going with this one. The Samurai. It is such a unique deal. The Proteus is another one that really tugs at me because of the dial design. It's a graphite. Was it carbon fiber dial or carbon dial of some sort? And I love the little red triangle at the end of the second hand. But Phoibos has to go. Yeah. One of the things about legibility, Johan, you bring up a good point, and that is if you take a look at the slide, because I have a slide of this one. There is no 12 marker. All of the hour indicators are the same. So if you have your watch in a weird position, face up, but twist or whatever in the middle of the night, like it's just harder to see where 12 is. I know it's not the end of the world, but it is that way. So All right. Yeah, Samurai is iconic. Absolutely true. Yeah, and I think I can't nix both Seikos. I think just strategically, politically, you always have to think politically too. Politically, give Seiko a little bit more time. And that was the first one I got of the two Seikos was the Samurai. So yeah. All right. So there we go. I've identified the top two anyway. With your help, we're right in sync here. This is great. Ding, what do you think? Or Bobby, you guys have commented. I don't know if anybody else is online who's out there, but let me know what you think. I'll keep the comments going. I'll just read it off if you have a conclusion on there. But we're going to move on to the next piece, which I believe is storage. So this is kind of I'll share what I've got for the basic storage. There's a little bit of variety in here, but I want to talk about two things. Number one is storage at home and then storage on the road. This is something that as I accelerated through having just two watches into multiples of two, I had to figure out storage. There's just no two ways around it. I had watches when I was doing reviews, and especially when I do like a comparison review, I got watches all over the place. I'm trying to figure stuff out. So anyway, we'll go through. So let's start off with travel. So when you have a watch roll, and you guys probably have watch rolls out there, but one of the things I think is important for travel is to identify how much you're actually going to wear and try to stick to it. I mean, I could bring the whole suitcase if I want to. I literally have the case. You'll see here in a second. I've got a case that can hold 28 watches. I generally don't bring those unless I'm going to show most of my collection to somebody. So anyway, but the watch roll, it's great. If you get a watch, and here's a tip I have for watch rolls, get a watch roll where the pockets are a little bit wider, because what you can do is you can take a watch that is, let's just say, and it's much easier to do when they have straps and not bracelets. Bracelets become problems. So you can take two watches on the watch roll. You guys probably have already seen this, but you can flip and put them like this in the same pocket. So I can double the number. So that one you see up there, that leather one, is 4 pouch. I can put 8 watches in there. And I sometimes put a really cheap field watch horizontally across and fold the flap over the top. And I can get 9 watches in that one watch roll. You have to be kind of careful because when you roll it up, you want to make sure that one that's horizontal, the dial or the case is not being crushed because you are going to roll it up in kind of like sections. So anyway, that's travel wise. I use the watch roll all the time, and I like this leather one quite a bit because when I really stuff it, I put 8 watches in there, maybe 9 watches in there. This leather strap that wraps around the outside and hooks back up on that metal pin has different settings. So I can have 3 in there, 2 in there, 4 in there, and it rolls a certain diameter. But then when you really pack it in there, you're getting close to the edge of the leather strap that goes around. I got it on Amazon. But what do you guys have out there as far as watch rolls? Put those in the comments down below. Like, do you have any suggestions on watch rolls? I like the leather ones a little bit more. Let's see here. I have this vinyl fake leather one, which is nice. I think this is a 3 pouch. Yeah, this is 3. Okay. So it's nice. It has a nice soft liner on the inside. It's extremely supple. I mean, this is like super supple when it comes down to just its ability to wrap around, whatever unique design watches you have in there. But to me, this is again wide. Look how wide that is. I can easily fit 2 in this one. And the flap over the top, it's pretty long too. The leather one, actually, that's one downside. If you'll notice, the top of the leather one is stitched. So it has to fold at that point, right? So that's where this one it has an advantage because there is no stitching up here, okay? So you can fold this top over and all kinds of different sizes. Johan asked, how do you keep them from touching if you top to tail? I pick and choose which ones go in there, and I'll have, I'll have that leather one and I'll have this one. And I may have this one have, like, if I'm going to bring that Wise Adamascus where it's got the 904L steel, which is really soft steel, I'll have that one by itself. Okay. I will put, let's see, what else is there? I don't really put things in between there. This is where maybe I'm a little bit harsher on my watches than I need to be, but I don't put anything between them. So long as it's brushed steel with brushed steel. If I have a lot of polish, those go by themselves. So polished watches go by themselves in there. But if I have brushed steel, not too concerned about it, because brushed steel, it's not going to do a whole lot. And where I put the pouch when I'm traveling is also important. If it's going to go in my carry-on bag or my over-the-shoulder bag, I'm flying or whatever, that's probably the pouch that's going to have 3 individual in their own space, because that bag is being jostled around so much. If I'm doing a checked bag or a bag, let's say I'm going to throw it in the back of the car, and it's not going to be disturbed, then I'll double things up, put the watch roll gently into that bag, pack it in there so it doesn't move around much, and then go with it. Yeah, there's a risk of them scratching up on each other, but again, watch the polished ones. Maybe I'll put my Casios. I could double my Casios. A lot of my strap watches are my field watches, and so those tend to be a little bit lighter weight. They have a little more space. That's kind of how I go about it. I don't do a lot of traveling either. So, but when I do, like, I go to Minnesota at least once a year from Montana, which is a 18-hour drive by car, usually driving, just because it's cheaper to drive than it is to fly. And so with that being said, I'll bring the case, like the suitcase, so to speak, which is, we'll go, let's see here, this guy right here. So this is what I bring when I'm traveling that way, and I'll put stuff in there. Yeah. Oh, Johan says the clasp to the crystal. Yes, I make sure that they're side by side when even when I roll them up, that they don't. I think I see what you're saying. They don't, the clasp or the buckle doesn't go on top of the crystal, the other one. Or I'll face the crystals out to the outside and then have the buckles on the inside if they're going to be stacked up. So the crystal is always facing and touching the inside of the pouch, if that makes sense. Yes, I do protect the crystal and the bezel as much as I can. Side of the case, I mean, if you're going to wear your watch, you're going to do more damage to it than probably a well packed up travel case is going to do to it. So yeah, but anyway, travel wise, this case, so this is a, what is it called? Got it right here. I don't want to say it's cold case. Case Club. It's a Case Club case. So it's almost identical to the Pelican. Way cheaper than the Pelican. It's an Amazon special. Go on to Amazon, Case Club. Then I think this is the 28. This is the 28 watch case. And they're all facing up. You can see the egg cart packing in the top of the case lid. They make let's see, is it a 48 or it's the double the size of this, so it'll be 56. But I think it's in the 40s, where it's two-sided. The top and the bottom hold watches, and it holds flat when you open it. This one only goes halfway up, and this one has a O-ring in it, so it keeps moisture out. And that was the other thing. It's like, if I'm gonna bring a case, I want to make sure I don't damage all these watches at once. So I really went after a case that has some weatherproofing in it. So yeah, I love it. It's the foam pillows that are in there. They work fine. Actually, my wrist is about the size of these foam pillows. So when I take my watch off and then reclasp it, I just slide it right on there and it's fine. So average to slightly above average wrist size. I think I usually say it's above average. When I'm working, it's above average. Like right now, this watch is kind of tight, but you get those adjustable clasps, and yeah. So anyway, that's the case that I use. That's the one I would use for traveling in a vehicle with a bunch of watches. It's just way easier. And also something with traveling. So safety and security. Okay, safety. Let's put safety aside. We're actually talking about security. with my work with law enforcement and just checking things in and all that stuff, like bringing one case with all your watches, I think is a bad idea unless you're going to keep eyes on that situation a lot. So if I'm traveling by plane, I would rather have 2 or 3 pouches. Separate things out a little bit. One of them in my carry-on, one or two of them in my suitcase or checked-in bag. I may actually have a single pouch or a double pouch in my pocket, just to spread things out so that nothing gets heisted all together at the same time. I think that's a wise thing, especially if you're staying in hotels. Spread things out a little bit as far as just not making it real obvious. You bring a case like this into a hotel, and who knows, I know they're all security checked. This is the skeptical side of me coming in. But when you have a case like that, it just screams something valuable on the inside. So that's why I use it when I'm driving. I would probably not use this flying unless I checked it. So Noah, there's my son, Noah. How you doing, Noah? Good to see you. It's my number 2 son. He was in the virus claims a son video. So he and I go back and forth on watches all the time. way more. Yeah, it's he and I do that. So, and Johan, we talk quite a bit. Really appreciate the input you have every time I put a video. I think you're the first one that gives a comment. So I always look forward to Johan and the comments he puts down there. Noah, you're my number 2 favorite son. Absolutely. So travel wise, kind of keep that in mind as far as security goes. You put all your eggs in one basket. The fox only has to take one basket. That's it. So unless you got eyes on it, I'm okay with it. Personally, I travel with that case quite a bit because I got eyes on it. I'm locking it. Always keep your room locked, keep your car locked, keep it out of sight. Number 1 thing in theft is unlocked vehicles. Number 1 thing in burglary of houses, unlocked doors. It's amazing that you have these locks and people don't use them. I live in Montana. I was just talking to somebody a neighbor who moved in real close by, and they were talking about how the real estate agent said, you don't have to worry about locking your doors. The doors, put the keys in the counter. It's like, no. Oh, no. That is a bad idea. All you have to do is lock the door. Easy peasy. Yeah, Johan thinks you should get the Seiko. We'll talk. Yeah. All right, so there's the case. We've talked about the watch roll, and let's go back one slide. This is actually the inside of a safe. What's the name of the safe? Koenig. I think it's Konig. Koenig. It is a fingerprint ID, also an RFID safe. So you get these cards that you can use, put it on the top. It's at the top of the case, has an RFID reader. Put that on the top, pops the case open. Okay, you can screw this case down. You can bring this with you. This is a lockable safe. So I have my fingerprint on there, and I also have the RFID card. I always use the fingerprint. Also, because this safe has that RFID reader in it, which is electronic, it requires electricity. This has a battery in it that you charge up, a lithium battery, and you can use this case to charge other things. So if you brought this with you, let's say you went to a hotel or whatever, or you're traveling, you can plug your smartphone charging cord into this safe and charge up your phone. So, and this is also super easy. I mean, it's probably, my hand's out here. It's a little bit wider than the span of my hand, so it's a good size. And keep this in mind, like all safes do is delay the inevitable. And while the inevitable is the wheels are turning for inevitability of somebody stealing something, that's when, you want interventions. Cops are called, or you show up at home, or whatever. You just want you want the time it takes to get into that safe to be as long as possible. You're not actually preventing him from getting in the safe at all. There is no safe out there that a homeowner can actually buy that you can't get into. I've seen so many gun safes, and all you got to do is look at the side of the safe or look at the back of the safe. And most of them you can get through with a single power tool. And I've seen this over and over and over again. These are like $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 safes. that's just not it. You're just making it more difficult for the person to break into it, discourage people that don't know what they're doing, so that only people that actually know what they're doing break into the safe, which is an even smaller number of people. So you're reducing the number of people. So a safe, getting back to this, anytime you have a safe like this, you're helping yourself out by allowing yourself more time, discouraging people who don't know what they're doing. Do your work, make it, put the safe in a place where it's not totally visible. So yeah, Johan, G19 would definitely fit in there. It's a clamshell safe, and it would definitely hold a firearm. And with the RFID piece on there, you see a lot of like Hornady and some of these other companies will have a 4-finger fingerprint reader that you put your fingers on there, and it reads the fingerprints in your 4 fingers or your non-thumb finger. Works really good. So, yeah, safe power bank. Yeah, so there's a cord. You can, if you had this bedside and you you can screw it from the inside. Okay, so just like a lot of safes, if you're going to mount the safe in a certain place, the screws go from the inside of the case into the material that you're screwing into. So they have to get into the case to get at the screws, right? So yeah, you could have this bedside, charge your phone off of it. I charge it about once every 4 to 5 months, and it'll have a blinking light that'll tell you that the battery's low. Pretty cool. Let's see here. Going over some of the comments. So there's the safe. I think I got everything on here, right? Oh, watch box. Yeah, so another storage solution. This is cool. Keep in mind that whenever you put, tough solar watches inside of a plastic case or inside of a safe, they're not getting any light. So a watch box like this, you're going to get some light in there, so your solar powered watches will continue to get charged, so long as they're not sitting in the corner where it's dark. You want to have them get some reasonable sunlight. But I use the watch box all the time. I use the watch box as my guide for what I'm going to wear for the week. And so currently that setup right there is a lot of the field watches that I have. And so I just was going to go on a field watch craze. And that's going to be one of my focuses this upcoming year, is I'm going to have a themed week or 2-week theme where I'm going to have field watches and just wear my field watches for the next 2 weeks. So yeah, watch boxes are great. They're not a safe. It's not really a security thing. It's more of a display thing, but it is an organizational tool. So you can use that to organize things. They have, top and bottom watch cases where you slide out a drawer. There's another, in this case, it'd be 10. So you got 10 up top, you have 10 down below. You can have 20 watches in one watch case. So as far as organizing and kind of getting them together and not having them laying around, perfect. I love this. And this is an Amazon, nothing special about it. Just kind of a cool leather bound deal. So it's a display case. I keep the valuable watches in the safe. I don't keep them out in the open. Again, don't have them all one place. Don't let the fox take the basket, the basket full of eggs. So anyway, yeah, the Citizen watch, Johan, definitely will fit in the safe. I actually love the safe. It's so easy. I've going back to safe real quick. I was never a fan of the fingerprint safe. I just thought it was a gimmick. And you got to get your finger on there in such a way that it can read the print. Now, the one that I have is you got to slide your finger across the reader, which was kind of like that I don't know if you remember the old PCs back in the late 90s, early 2000s had that security measure where you'd slide your finger across that reader. So anyway, the reason I'm not a huge fan of it is that it's another fine motor skill. And if you're under stress, especially for a gun, if you're under stress, I just don't see those safes being really user-friendly for self-defense when it comes to a firearm. When it comes to valuable things, no problem, because there's no stress. I mean, I'm not under stress getting a watch out. So, but that was kind of my hang up, was like, fingerprint. What if it doesn't read? So, and if I had to, I could pry that thing open. No problem. Yeah, split mine in groups, all steel. Nice. Johan's talking about his. Yeah. Noah, Samsung phones had the finger swipe before they adopted the press to unlock. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, keep in mind, if you have the RFID chip or card or whatever it is, don't have it next to the safe. You know, put it somewhere else. Know where you put it, but put it somewhere else. That's another thing. It's like leaving your house unlocked or your car door unlocked. Like, it's so easy to not, you know, to do the thing that actually makes security. So, all right. So there we go. That's organization. So, you know, you got your visual organization in the watch box. You've got some mass organization in a case that, in this case, it's called the club case. Has an O-ring, so waterproof. I don't put any solar watches in there. I keep the solar watches out. Matter of fact, all my solar watches are in the windowsill because I just like them fully charged. I want to know that when I grab them, they're fully charged. A safe, okay, whatever size. This is a kind of a clamshell safe. Koenig, Konig, has an RFID. It also has a fingerprint reader. It also can charge things. It has a lithium battery in there, so you can plug in stuff into that and charge off of the safe battery. And then you've got the watch roll. Okay. Just for those who are joining in, we had 3 watches make it to the top 3 to be cut. These are the 3: the Samurai, the Seiko 5, which is this one, the Samurai in the middle, and then the Phoibos Proteus on the outside. And number 1 was the Seiko 5, and number 2 was the Proteus. And I'm in complete agreement on those. And Seiko 5, Noah, let me know, buddy. All right. All right, so that's it for the, let's see, the cutting of the watches, the culling of the watches, organization, Q&A. We'll do some Q&A for anybody out there. Johan, Noah, if you got any burning questions for your dad. Who else was on here? Ding was on here. I'm gonna go back. I hope I didn't miss any comments here. Ding's on here. And then I think Bobby was on here. I think those are the ones that were in the comment section. So if you got any comments, any questions, throw them down below. We're going to wrap this up here in about 5 minutes or so. But I have a question for Johan, because Johan, you and I have been, you know, communicating via comments on video reviews. So where about in South Africa are you at? I think, if I remember right, you're in South Africa. Titanium feels cheap. So Noah says titanium feels cheap even if it's premium watches. What are my thoughts? Yeah, you know what? Part of what I like about a watch is the weight. Honestly, like when I want a lightweight watch, I want a lightweight watch. Titanium's awesome. But when it comes down to the weight, you know, you want to feel, it wants to feel significant. You know, that I'm going to go back to this Aqualand. This is oddly, I love wearing it, and it's a super heavy watch. It's a super thick watch. I'll put this back up here just to give you an idea. Well, here, let's put the Seiko Samurai next to it. Okay. Seiko Samurai versus the Aqualand. Okay. And you look at the Samurai and think, oh man, that's a massive watch. Well, this one's even more so. And then you've got a metal bracelet to boot. I do like the weight. Does it feel more premium? I don't know if weight equates to premium necessarily, but when it comes down to titanium, and I wish I hadn't changed out the strap for this question. This is the Signum Cuda, but the Signum Cuda is one that, we'll move this out here just a little bit. The Signum Cuda had the titanium strap or titanium bracelet, titanium case, and it really felt nice. I think what it is just lighter weight. I'm not so sure it's premium anything more than it's just a harder metal, and it's also less available than steel is. I think that's probably it. So I don't think it's about premium. I think it's really about, to me, it's about function. And that's the thing I've noticed about titanium. So, all right. Johan in the Free State province. All right. I'll have to look that up. So you guys are coming out of winter into spring, which is interesting. Craig, how you doing, Craig? Oh, yeah, I can relate to that, Craig. He's doing dishes while he's listening. There's 5. All right. Johan's talking about titanium. It's the way to go. Yeah, I do like titanium. I think it's, if I can get it, I'll probably get it, especially if it's a reasonable price. Yeah, I agree with you, Johan. Craig, man, doing dishes and baby bottles. 4 boys of my own. 4 boys of my own. Noah, he's on the line right now. I've done a few bottles and a few diapers and a lot of late nights, so I can appreciate that. The multitasking, doing something you enjoy in the background, and then doing the thing you have to do in front of you. So, Andre, Draken Kruger. I haven't heard of a Draken Kruger. Doesn't feel too light. Yeah. One of the watches I have, it's titanium, that is extremely light, is the SWC Bunker. And for those of you that, it's a fantastic field watch, but it is so incredibly light. It is Casio, like $30 watch light. I'm not exaggerating. Like it's an amazing feat that they have there. I believe that's grade 5 titanium. But the lightweight, like you just don't feel like you have a watch on. I think that's part of the watch collecting thing, is that you get these watches of different weights, different styles, different colors. And it's just like, I want to wear a watch I don't really feel it today, you know? So I grab a Casio or grab a titanium watch, or I want to wear something that is, you know, it is out there, you know, and I've got a few of those that are out there, whether it's be design or weight or whatever. So, hey, Bobby, good to see you. So we're just talking about titanium. Yeah, so titanium to me is, I mean, I like it. I don't know that it feels cheap. I think it feels light. I think in my mind, Noah, titanium, I know it's tough to a point. Yeah. I have that 904L steel. This one right here. This is the same steel, same kind of steel. Okay, it's not the same steel, but the same kind of steel used in the Rolex, which is the Wise Adamascus AD8. And it's soft. Like, it really does collect scratches, and you got to be careful of that. So I think being aware of the material that your case is made of is super important. And, you know, do I feel like bronze is a premium product? Sometimes you look at the price of these, they are because of the price. But I think bronze, it's heavier than stainless steel. I didn't realize that until after I researched it. When I was doing the review on this, I was like, I wonder if, because it feels heavier when it comes down to just the overall, you know, mass of the object or the weight of the object. And I looked it up, and sure enough, bronze is heavier than stainless steel. So I think it's just the variety. You know, variety is part of what happens when you get more than a handful of watches. You're like, oh, I'm going to try this material out. So yeah, Johan, don't overpay for grade 5 titanium. Yeah, to me, it's like titanium is not a high priority. It's a nice to have. High priority to me is like movement, lume, contrast on the dial, and then some design features that kind of make it unique, so that it's not too plain. Those are the things that kind of trump most other things. If I have a movement that I don't trust, you know, somewhere in China where it's like, they put a bunch of numbers up there, I don't know what those numbers are, I am less likely to take the jump. But when I see an NH35 or a SW200, Salida SW200, I'm more inclined to do that. So titanium kind of fits into that. I'm not too much to jump out after that. Oh, it's chlorine resistant. I didn't know that. Titanium is chlorine resistant. Cool. All right. Didn't know that. So, all right. Well, we are 1 minute away. I try to keep these to an hour, because when they get posted on YouTube, I don't think people really pay attention past, well, it's amazing. They don't usually pay attention past the first 5 minutes. But you had 55 more minutes on there. It doesn't get a whole lot better. So any other questions? Any suggestions for reviews coming forward? Do you guys have any suggestions for reviews coming forward? And I'll go through and I'll review, just so you guys are aware, I'm going to go through and review the audio quality, the video quality, and stuff like here. On my end, it looks like things are washed out, and yeah. So I'm using the camera on my computer, but any suggestions going forward for reviews? Any Casio? Casios have been fun. I've enjoyed it. And I don't know if the part 2 is going to come out on the destroying the F200. I have 2 really good ideas for destruction. I bought 2 of them, and I've pretty much destroyed one of them through a variety of different reasons. But yeah, so Casios are fun. If you have any Casio ideas, Noah, best watches at different case sizes. All righty. Or options at different sizes. Okay, put that down. Different case sizes. Yeah. All right. Any other ideas? We are now 1 minute over. I'm on overtime. And it looks like we have quieted down. We got 5 folks on. Appreciate all 5 of you for being on here and listening. You know, Craig, Andre, Bobby, who else was on here? Johan, for sure. Ding was on here as well. Appreciate all you guys being on here. So, and those of you that watch this later on YouTube, the reviews that I do, I try to make them really practical. So any ideas you have, put them in the comments down below. I try not to get into the whole promotion of, you know, the phrase at the end of most of those videos. To me, if you have a good video, you have a good video, and just let it be that. You don't have to advertise it. Take care, Noah. Sorry about the Vikings losing today. They lost to the Buccaneers. They should not have lost to the Buccaneers. That is bad. Bad for the season. They're 0-1. That sucks. All right. So any comments, put them down below. Any ideas, put them down below. That's the only reason I talk about comments is I'm just trying to prompt ideas. But I truly am interested in that. The rest of it, I just do this for fun. And I just enjoy it. So there we go, everybody. You all take care. We're going to head out. I'm going to head out, and we're going to close this one down. And you all take care. Have a great week, and wear those watches. I'm going to start putting out in the what do they call them? Video shorts. I'll have themed weeks. I'm going to put out this week, and I'm going to have this theme. So I'm just coming up with some ideas that are fun. So you guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you guys later. All right. See ya.